Hey guys, VaulSC here. How you going? We're going to take a look at a game of infiNity between the Combined Army and PanOceania. But first, before we get into the bat rep, just got to say that I'm really happy at the moment because I've moved house. As you guys can see from the background behind me, I am in a completely different room. It's much better than the old place. Internet's working a lot better too, which is a big plus. That's one thing I really struggled with creating, video quality that I could upload. Just give you a really quick tour with the old webcam. So there's the old shelf with miniatures. You can see the Warhammer High Elf Army very distantly on the bottom shelf, Combined Army and Aleph on the second from bottom, and then the Pano and Yucheng, plus my card collection and CDs. Got a little pink couch over there in the driveway. And of course, the bed, the mosaic of card collection on the wall, closed shelf, and musical instruments for my music heater and so on. So yeah, really feeling good about the new place. I've got enough space in this room to actually set up and play a game of infiNity in here, but I don't have the table trestles to put the wooden boards on yet. If you guys missed that, over here I've got these two bits of 2x4, which that's two of them stacked together, which I lay out and then put my mat down. Speaking of mats, you can see the little collection of gaming mats over there next to the shelf on the floor. So yeah, I'm feeling really happy. Didn't have a very good last few months of living in the old place. It got pretty dismal. But I'm over that, and we're back into playing some infiNity. So this one will be Frostbyte again, and I'm going to take a short break from Ikari to try out a Combined Army in Season 10. And my thinking is that there are a couple of units which are actually benefit from the changes. One of them is the Fractar, which, of course, with airborne deployment and being able to land in a much smaller, tighter spot, there's a little bit of benefit from him with the new changes. And, of course, the Mark Rep Tracker, being medium infantry, you can deploy him out a little bit further if needed to benefit from that new change. Other than that, though, it's a pretty generic list for me. You've got the Q-Drone plasma rifle, although, you can take the HMG as well. I just figured I already had the HMG in the form of the Mark Rep Tracker. You got Bit and Kiss, Dr. Worm, Nexus Lieutenant, a couple of Datrats, and a couple of Icodrons. Drone Shrouded, Morat Hacker to power up the Q-Drone, of course. A couple of Predators, a couple of Imitrons, and the Noctifer Missile. So we'll be up against Pano, and let's get into a bit of a game. I don't think I really have an overview of the actual full-on table handy. I'll just scan through my photos to see if I've got any big zoom outs. I don't really think I do. It's all close-ups in this one. So very first image, we've got this guy here, which is going to be the hidden deployment Noctifer way at the back. So the position will become a bit more apparent as we go through the pictures. So this is towards the right-hand side. I'll just go through and highlight a few things. We'll just grab a yellow for this. So our drone, extreme right-hand flank, along with the Datrats, Icodron, and Predator, just hanging out there in a little group, a little bubble. And the Q drone right at the back in the middle rear of the deployment zone. Just in front of him, we've got, the Q drone there, just right in front of him, we've got the Morat Hacker prone on this building here, Lieutenant there as well, and a Predator nearby. I've landed one of the Imitrons out in front of them. You can see the Frostbyte heating units here and here. So that's where they are. And just bear in mind too that the Noctifer missile launcher is hidden right there because it's got a really long angle along this path here. Okay, so left-hand side, there's going to be a Mark Rep Tracker deployed up here as well, somewhere around about here, I think. But left-hand side, you can see that there's a Shrouded Fort Observer in the middle. Okay, underneath him, the Imitron, got the Doctor. That's supposed to be prone there behind the wall, of course. Bit and Kiss on the stairs, another Datratse, another Icodron on the far left, and my HVT is out here behind this, the back of this truck. Okay, so there's a bit of a closer view of the Shrouded and the Imitron. There's also another Imitron which has scattered across this side of the table and landed on one of the other buildings, which is sort of sticking out there. It's silhouette too, so it can indeed get shot. So my opponent playing PanOceania, as he often does, and this is a list with two NIS, one HG, one sniper, and a Kamau sniper, which is very similar to the NIS sniper. So heavy on medium infantry. He really wants to try out the whole forward deployment level 1 from Season 10. So we'll go through it. This is a limited insertion list which does feature Joan. He has rolled a 15 for the Lieutenant roll-off, which is a crit. It's Joan. So he's opted to pick the table side that he wanted. I have to deploy first, and I'm going to go second. So not only am I deploying first, I'm having to take his first turn. So this is from right to left. On his right-hand flank, he's got a NIS sniper just carrying this flank here. NIS HMG, which is going to be the data tracker on this building for deployed up. He's got the flash pulse bot back here. This is a Akon Dismesso regular paramedic, I think. Might be forward observer, can't remember. There's a Tech B at the back behind this heating unit. Elsewhere, we have another flash pulse spot of some kind. There's a war core up here on the building, which benefits from Joan's, fearless leadership, of course. There's the other Kamau sniper back here, which is going to guide this really long line here, which is a bit annoying for me because that's the same line that I chose for my Noctifer missile launcher. And with this little small piece of jungle terrain in the way, the Noctifer missile launcher is not going to be great against the multi-sniper there with MSV2. He's also got his HVT on the far corner there as well. Okay, that's a bit of a better look at the middle of his deployment zone. The reserve trooper, which of course is the Mark Rep with HMG, just deploying up with for deployment next to this wall. He is deploying his Lieutenant Joan of Arc, the basic standard Joan of Arc, of course, with I think the AP sword, prone here behind the NIS. Now, one thing that is not really revealed in these pictures is that he's running a cutter. So the cutter is in hidden deployment. And when I looked at his army setup, I'm looking there and thinking, well, he's got a Kamau and 2 NIS, which means that's around about 100-point block. Then there's Joan of Arc, plus a couple of flash pulse bots, a few peripheral small troopers, which adds up to around about 100 points. So therefore, if he's playing limited insertion and he only has one model left, which is in head deployment, it actually has to be the cutter. There was part of me thinking, well, what if I added it up wrong and it's actually a Swiss missile launcher? So I did play that around that a little bit, but I was, fully expecting a cutter out of this. But he's going first, so we'll see if it reveals. So his data tracker, he's chosen this guy here, the NIS HMG, and my data tracker is going to be the Morat hacker. My reasoning for this is that you can use the data trackers at regular order to do the hacking, and also you can move them out later in the game as a specialist, as somebody who actually benefits from the data tracker's ability to not be killed by the cold zones. It is a bit of a liability here that he could be killed by a killer hacker, but I wasn't too worried about that. Usually it's pretty obvious when Pano are running a killer hacker, although technically I was deploying first, so he could have had a killer hacker. The thing is, you put the data pack down after the deployment is the point I'm trying to make here. So I get to see his army list before I choose a data tracker, and seeing that he's obviously got a cutter and no other hackers on the table at all, I'm safe against killer hacking because he doesn't actually have any. So if you guys follow that reasoning, there's his HMG NIS as a data tracker here. So from the get-go, he's moving out with Joan of Arc, and he's well aware of the fact that I'm likely to have a Noctifer missile launcher. So he's actually crawling with Joan. Now, the Noctifer missile launcher, in a really bad spot, can't shoot at Joan anyway, but I'm absolutely over the moon with this. I'm just delighted that he's so worried about the Noctifer missile launcher. And I suppose you should be if your lieutenants, can be killed in one hit by the missile. But it's just going to cost him his entire alpha strike, his entire turn of just moving through and not really killing very much as a result. So she's just crawling achingly forward here, eventually stands up once she gets into cover. No Noctifer appears, so she's basically spending the entire turn just carefully working her way all the way around here. She's going to come all the way until she can spot this Shrouded. And to be honest, she could even fail her whip check onto the Shrouded and for this to all be for nothing, which is quite sad. But eventually gets around here. She's well out of the way of any repeaters or anything. So goes in, attempts to discover the Shrouded. The Shrouded does nothing. The Shrouded does get discovered. Joan of Arc has a bit of a shootout with her multi-rifle, destroys our friendly Shrouded, and then pulls back a bit. And then we're able to use Joan of Arc's coordinated order, lieutenant order, to move up with the Warcore and the Tech B and the little regular down here and the NIS HMG and reposition everybody. So the Acontecimento guy here is moving towards the middle console so that he can turn on the heating unit at the back here of the Pano deployment zone, just to keep the deployment zone warm. So here he goes, comes up and presses the button, no problems at all, and then skulks away and hides somewhere. Also uses the coordinated order to reposition his flash pulse spot a little bit, and then ducks back behind the cover of this car. The Tech B, unfortunately, runs out of orders before she can make it to cover, so there's a possibility I'll go around my left-hand flank and find a bit of an angle to kill her, since she didn't really reach the total cover of the car. But that's okay, it's just a Tech B. We haven't revealed the cutter yet either. So it's Combined Army turn 1 now, and we've just really lost only one Shrouded. He's forgotten to kill my Imitrons, so feeling really good about the way the game's going so far. Joan of Arc standing in the middle of the table, so I might even be able to kill her, kill his lieutenant. So really a great position, and this is one of the reasons why it can be really strong to go second turn in the scenario. As we'll see later, it can be easier to move your data tracker into the middle zone, but of course there are other problems that you have to get past as well. So nice photo here of Bit and Kiss. The Datratzer Witch Soldier is walking up the staircase because Joan of Arc turns out to be the closest model in the middle of the table, so he's going up the stairs because that's the quickest way to get to her. Preta standing up and moving around now, and just not using a second movement skill. The other Preta, unfortunately, moving out into range of his Kamau sniper, which is way at the back here, fires a shot, fails the dodge, and the Preta is sniped and destroyed. Okay, so the moment that I've been waiting for some time, the hacker puts up controlled jump. We see that PanOceania isn't running a hacker at all, so the Fractar now lands at the back of the deployment zone here, which is a lot easier given that it does not need a template to land in under this new system. So Fractar landing directly behind the NIS sniper and passes the check, 60% chance or something like that. No, it's actually, is it higher than that? It needs like a 15. Yeah, it's pretty high. I think it's 75%. So that lands, and the Fractar is then able to gun down the NIS sniper with its combi rifle at short range, 3 dice versus 1. I've got the extra wound to back me up, so that's really good. So shoots at the NIS sniper, kills it, then is able to move through and pick onto this flash pulse bot and destroy that at close range as well. So really beautiful move. The Fractar only 29 points here with the combi rifle, very effective at close range. You've got that additional wound if you get unlucky. And this is a 10 order PanOceania list, and we've already cut down 2 orders from it. So maximum 8 orders per turn for the rest of the game. Feeling really efficient about that. But we do know that there's a hidden deployment model, most likely a cutter somewhere, and the Fractar having landed there hasn't triggered that yet. If it had have triggered a cutter right next door there, the Mark Rep would have been a good position to shoot at it. Anyway, the Mark Rep, so the Fractar does now move from the cover of this box over towards the cab of this truck. And the plan is to go all the way around here to the staircase and walk up and then kill his otherness, which happens to be the data tracker, which would likely win the game for me. But this is where the cutter is situated, way at the back here in the middle, and this is able to now fire a explosive HMG round at the Fractar. Now, the Fractar fires back with combi rifle, manages to deflect the shot. The shots bounce off the cutter, so nobody's killed there, but the Fractar most likely will die if it does anything else, and we have revealed the cutter, so I'm not unhappy about how this is going. So that rules out my opportunity to go up the stairs and kill his NIS HMG, which was the plan, so I have to fall back on some other sort of plan. We can see in the distant background here that this is the location of the Fractar. And after thinking about my turn very carefully, I realized that the Mark Rep wouldn't really have enough orders to completely destroy the cutter. I can't really get over to Joan with a Datratzer Witch Soldier very effectively. So what I decided I would attempt to do is move up with Bit and Kiss, and then we're going to move across the stairway here and just spend the rest of the orders in the turn creeping ever closer to Joan of Arc. Then, once I get near enough, we'll use the repeater from Kiss to have my hacker use up the 4 or 5 regular orders in Group 2 to immobilize Joan, and then try and shoot her with a combination of adhesive launcher and AP rounds from the submachine gun. And that might kill her, which would give me the lead. So these guys walk all the way over here. Joan of Arc is prone behind these boxes. Once they get to this specific point, the hacker attempts a gotcha, and that does manage to immobilize Joan, very luckily. So Bit and Kiss now able to try and move through. Can't get around the corner in a single movement, so we're attempting to put down a repeater first. Sorry, this is happening before Joan gets immobilized because I don't want her to reset before I'm ready to attack her. Firing the picture there, I realized later that it seems to say on the profile for Bit and Kiss that they have a submachine plus picture, and then there's a comma, and then it says deployable repeater. So my opponent seems to think, oh, actually, they have 5 repeaters, and I didn't even know that. So it would have been better for me to just have dropped a repeater next door here, just because if Kiss dies, as Kiss is likely to, I've still got a repeater to continue to immobilize Joan. The thing is, by moving Bit around here, she can go prone and shoot at Joan of Arc around the corner, but Kiss actually has to move around here and can't go prone, and there's a Kamau sniper in the distance, which is going to have an angle through here to destroy this robot. So I'm really going to have one shot at it. So Joan is immobilized, Bit moves around, Kiss moves around, and here's what happens. Joan goes for the reset and fails the attempt to reset, unluckily. The adhesive launcher goes off, rolls a 10, which I thought was a crit. Then we found out that I rolled an 11. I thought that was a crit. I actually needed a 10 to crit because it's 0 range band at 0 to 8, and the robot is ballistical 10, so no adhesive launcher. The AP rounds from the submachine go off and inflict a single wound onto Joan, and then the Kamau sniper destroys Kiss, the little robot here. So I will have another attempt to attack with Bit. So she does indeed do that, moves around with her last order here, and moves into a position where she can just fire at Joan point blank, strips another wound off her, but Joan resets. So Joan is now an NWI. The rules have been changed, of course, thanks to Corvus Belli reverting their terrible mistake, and shock rounds don't actually take you off the board anymore or put you on unconscious. So having a careful think about how to follow up this turn, I realized, well, I've got another 4 orders in group. No, I've got like 3 orders in group 2 plus an irregular order, or a couple of regular orders that can be turned into regular orders. So after thinking very carefully, I realized that I could move my Noctifer missile launcher from this position around here, and then another short skill over here. There's going to be a discover from the Kamau sniper down this end, but the best he can do is reveal me, and I'm going to be moving up to the wall anyway. Then it's a matter of climbing up the wall, and after I've done that, I can actually move over and attack Joan with maybe 1 or 2 orders. So it's going to take 1 order to get up to here, a 2nd order just to get to the wall, a 3rd order to actually get up on top of the wall, and a 4th order to actually get into position to actually attack Joan. But the cool thing is that Noctifer gets to use its own ability, its own off-table regular order, and I can turn the irregular orders from the Predators into regular orders. If we go back and look at the army list, I mean, I've got 6 regular orders in Group 2 and 2 irregular orders. And the only thing I've really done from the 2nd group is use the data tracker's irregular order, which he gets for free anyway as part of the scenario. The Shrouded's dead, so after that, I've really got quite a lot of orders to use to accomplish this. Now, I left my Noctifer missile launcher model at home, but at this point in the photo, he has been revealed. He then comes around to see Joan, prone that is, without going back into camo mode, and starts spraying her with the assault pistol. And after that, finally manages to kill her, and then goes back into Tio camo mode at the end of the turn. So with Joan dead, and basically the Noctifer and Bit still alive on top of this building, Combined Armies just had a pretty good turn there. So everything in the Pano army is, unfortunately, irregular because the lieutenant's down. And for the rest of the game, the War Corps and the Tech B will only contribute regular orders to the pool, not regular orders. So the Cutter, spending its order to gun down the Fractar, we expected as much, just rips 2 wounds off him straight away. Then the NIS HMG moves carefully up here. There is a dodge from the Datrats in the distance, manages to dodge back successfully. There's also a shot off at, I think, one of the Predators somewhere around here and kills that. So NIS HMG doing some work. Looking at moving a bit closer to destroy the Noctifer. So the Nis moves up, manages to discover the Noctifer, and fires at him and kills him. So that's one Noctifer down, and then he's able to pull back after completing the little mission there, and just comes all the way back over here. So yeah, successful little move from the HMG. He had to spend some command tokens to convert irregular orders into regular orders to get that done, but at least he's still got his data tracker safe from being shot at by an assault pistol, and Bit over here may not do too well if he goes into suppression fire, which he does indeed do. Elsewhere, we've got the Tech B and the Acontecimiento Regular just repositioning in the middle of the table. Still hasn't killed the Imatron on the top of the building. So turn 2 now for Combined Army. We've got an impetuous move up here from the Dacheratsi. Effectively just moving up here into a position where he's on top of the roof. The other one on the right-hand flank also moving up and not provoking any arrows, luckily. So my plan after thinking for a while is that I've got to kill his data tracker, because even though he lost his lieutenant and had a pretty bad second turn, he could actually still win, because he might be able to get up on army points if Joan's the only thing that I kill. And his data tracker could be, I mean, it's in the exclusion zone already, so he might be able to beat me. And it's going to be quite hard, having lost the Shrouded, to get my specialist in to press a button. So with still a whole lot of orders in Group 1, like 8 or 9 of them, so Bit, having lost Kiss, spends an order to go into Cybermask mode, fails it, attempts again, and does go into Cybermask mode, so it's an impersonator now. And that's represented by this marker in the middle of the screen here. And she's able to crawl up over the bridge towards the Nis who's in suppression fire without really getting into line of sight of him until she's really, really close. And then it's a matter of just weaseling her way down the staircase all the way around behind his line of sight. And the thing is, if he ever breaks suppression to discover, he gets shot by the SMG. So eventually she gets all the way back around, then goes idle, shoots him, he has to change facing, and that's quite an effective way of Bit destroying the Nis HMG and effectively wiping out his data tracker. So that's quite a big win for Bit and Kiss, having taken out Joan, well, contributed to the death of Joan, and destroyed this Nis HMG data tracker. Really quite powerful. So for my opponent to win, he has to stay ahead in terms of points, which might be easy to do because I haven't even turned on any heating units yet. And if he prevents my data tracker from getting into the exclusion zone, he should be able to win that way as well. So I've still got a lot of work to do. The marker rep tracker just moving a bit closer to the edge of this bridge here, just setting up for a bit of a run late into the game. And elsewhere, I've got an R drone also moving up to the side just to help prevent things coming over to my side to assassinate the data tracker using his flash pulse device, buffing him up with the data tracker's hacking ability as well. So my opponent, unluckily for him, he's only got 4 regular orders. It's the Cutter, the Kamau, the Acontecimiento dude, and 1 flash pulse spot, and then he's got 2 irregular orders from the Tech B and the Warcore, and he's spent all of his command tokens, so things not looking great. The Cutter moving along here into a better position, decides to climb up on top of this roof here. Then he's going to go and attempt to shoot at the mark rep, but before he does that, the Dacheratsi is able to throw a smoke grenade as he sees the Cutter coming up the building and throws a smoke grenade onto the mark rep, which saves the mark rep's life, which I think is quite crucial. But unfortunately, the Dacheratsi not in the best position there and is going to get shot at by the Cutter. And I realized later that I kind of needed to have a smoke thrower still alive. Luckily, still have this guy over here. So that's okay. These guys, I think, dodging or staying out of the way in general. This Dacheratsi actually dodges without getting shot, so that's quite crucial that I saved one of them. And other than that, he's just repositioning his guys to get into the best position he can to defend, because if he can just shoot my data tracker down before he gets into the middle, that's going to result in a bit of a win. There is going to be, I think, a bit of an angle across here for the tag. Bit's over here, so the tag's actually coming over, destroying Bit, so easily wipes her out with the HMG. And other than that, just moving the Tech B out to get a flash pulse off. Same with the Walker on the stairs here. The tag, yeah, so here's a better shot. Here's a better shot of the tag's position. I've got a data tracker over at this spot right here. I need to move the data tracker down the stairs and then into the middle of the zone that way or around this side of the building, and that will result in a win for me. But with the tag being able to fire down this angle, and same with his Center regular and his Warcore and his Tech be able to fire a pistol, he set up a lot of AROs, so I can still quite easily lose this game despite having a couple of good turns. So here's the rundown on what I have to do. So what I have to do is restrain the Staturatse so he doesn't use Impetuous, because if he does, the cutter over here will probably blow him up. After doing that, I then have to throw a smoke grenade at that specific spot there to cover him as he walks down the stairs. Otherwise, again, he's going to get shot at by the cutter. So he has to throw a smoke grenade on a 17 after restraining his order. He's got about 6 orders to do this with. So he has to pass the smoke grenade there, and he has to come down the stairs and pass a long-range smoke grenade, because otherwise he gets too close to the cutter again. So with 6 orders, I have to pass 1 smoke grenade on a 17, and then 1 smoke grenade on an 11. And I've got to spend, I think, 1 or 2 orders moving. No, I think 1 order moving. So I got the 17 off okay, and then he moves down, and with 4 orders left, he has to pass an 11 or less on 4 orders. And I failed the first one, failed the second one, failed the third one, getting a bit worried. Throw the fourth one, luckily passed that one. So very close to just losing out right there, because I couldn't have kept the data tracker alive to move across into the zone. Well, it would have been astronomically unlikely. So the Staturatse spending Group 1's orders, getting the job done. And that blocks off the spot. So he's come up here, he's thrown the smoke grenade across here. That's going to block the line of sight from the tag through there and the Tech B around there. What that allows us to do is move the data tracker down here. Unfortunately, though, the data tracker, once he gets past this spot to go around to this side of the building here to win the game, the Tech B is going to fire its pistol across this tiny little gap here. So with our Morat hacker data tracker moving across there, he gets to this specific spot where he has a shootout against the data tracker. Note that there's a tiny gap from here over top of the objective, which you can see over. But once the Morat crosses that line, the silhouette of the Imatron actually blocks line of sight, so he's safe, and then he can get over here to victory. So the combi rifle against the Tech B does manage to succeed, wins the face-to-face roll, and then the Morat data tracker moves into the exclusion zone in here, and the game ends. So you can see here that having killed the enemy data tracker, I get 2 points. Having moved my data tracker into the middle zone, I get another 3 points. That's 5 points. I haven't pressed any of the heating lamp buttons or consoles, so my entire army now freezes to death, except for the data tracker, who lives. So my opponent wins on army points, hands down, and gets a bonus point for having turned on one of the heating lamps. So it's a 5 objective point to 4 objective point win for combined army. Very, very close. Let's just quickly talk strategy. If you know that you aren't going to win really on army points based on shooting and casualties, you may not need to even bother going and turning on one of the zones unless you need to actually get that bonus objective point. So that's quite crucial. If you're in my opponent's situation, you might also be quite keen to try and complete your classified, because that gets you at least a draw in this type of situation if the combined army player doesn't get a draw. Going second can be quite powerful if you have some smoke grenades and a data tracker that can survive, as we can just see here. My opponent used a data tracker which was going to commit to the fight a little bit more. Had I been the PanOceania player here, I might have thought to have made Joan of Arc the data tracker and held her back for a bit, and having won the lieutenant role, maybe not gone for table side, but gone for second turn, or having been forced to go for first turn, maybe just attacked with the cutter for a bit and then pulled them back, get a couple of easy kills on Imatrons, and then just wait for the end of the game to put Joan into the middle of the table, because she would have been much harder to kill at that point in the game, especially when you can predict a lot of things. So very strategic mission, very good tactical game, quite a close game. In terms of luck, I don't think there was anything there that really stood out as being crazily lucky, right? So attacking Joan of Arc with a hacker to immobilize her and a submachine gun AP rounds and an adhesive launcher, and then spraying her in the face with an assault pistol, it's quite likely that she's going to die there. Fractar killing a Ness and a flashball spot, quite likely for that to happen. Quite likely that he was going to land with no hack transport. The cutter killing the Fractar, that's pretty standard as well. The Datrat's a passing smoke, lobbing tests eventually. That's just run-of-the-mill stuff. So unlike a lot of the other games I've played recently, this game didn't really feature any crazy swings of luck. It was just quite a good tactical game, and shows us a bit more about why Frostbyte's a pretty cool mission. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. I'll be back with some more Army bat reps soon. I'm also going to do a little episode of Let's Build Some Lists. I know you guys like that. I'm going to cover off the new sectorials and maybe a bit more on Akari as well. So stay tuned for that, possibly next week. See you then.